A baby was abandoned in a harbor. Another was presented as an heir. One city, two stories, one truth no one wanted to face. In Eastbridge, Massachusetts, tragedies rarely happen all at once. They unfold quietly in places most people never see. That night, the harbor was almost silent. Fog wrapped around shipping containers and rusted piers. It was the kind of silence that makes you forget the country is still awake. But one sound refused to disappear. Crying. Weak, strained, unmistakably human. Her name was Jenny, 12 years old, raised more by circumstances than by parents. Kids like her don't make headlines. They just learn how to survive. She followed the sound through the fog. Cardboard collapsed under her sneakers. Cold air burned her lungs. Between two stacks of wet boxes, she found a small bundle. Soaked, motionless. Inside was a newborn, skin turning pale from the cold. Tiny chest rising, just enough to prove she was still alive. Next to the baby lay a gold chain with a pendant, one word engraved on it, Sophia, and a small crown. In neighborhoods like this, jewelry doesn't just fall on the ground, and newborns don't end up in the harbor by mistake. Jenny picked up the child, not because she knew what to do, but because leaving her there felt worse than anything that could happen next. She carried the baby to an old storage shed near the docks. Inside lived Margaret, an elderly woman who had once worked as a nurse. Now she was just another forgotten person on the edge of the city. Margaret took one look at the infant and understood. There was no formula, no clean blankets, no heater. But when the choice is between nothing and something, boiled water and an old jacket can be enough to keep a heartbeat going for one more night. The next step required money. Jenny had almost none. She walked to a 24-hour convenience store. Warm air, bright light, a different world. The cashier recognized her immediately. "Get out. We're not a charity." Jenny emptied her pockets onto the counter. Loose coins, crumpled bills, everything she owned. "Formula," she said. "Any kind." The cashier looked at the money, then at the girl. Sometimes silence does more than arguments. He put the cheapest formula on the counter. "Take it and leave." 2 days passed. The baby held on. She ate. She cried. She slept against a worn jacket that smelled like salt and smoke. Jenny didn't know who this child was, but she knew one thing. Someone had decided the baby didn't deserve to live, and someone else had quietly disagreed. Then the city reminded her that her world wasn't the only one. In the center of Eastbridge, a massive LED billboard glowed above a glass office tower. The headline read, "Sterling Biotech welcomes its future. Meet Sophia Sterling." A glamorous woman held a newborn in her arms. Her name was Victoria Sterling, CEO of Sterling Biotech, heir to old money and new science. Jenny stared at the billboard, then at the pendant in her hand. Same name, same crown, different baby. If this was a coincidence, it was the most expensive coincidence Eastbridge had ever seen. That night, the Sterling family hosted a private celebration at their estate in the hills above the city. Security at the gates, catering trucks, valet parking, everything carefully designed to look perfect. Kids like Jenny don't get invited to these places, but sometimes the truth does. She climbed into the back of a catering truck and rode through the front gate. Music played softly under the buzz of expensive conversations. Jenny slipped through the shadows of the garden until she found a side door. Behind it was a nursery, soft light, white furniture, paintings of clouds and stars. A nanny stood near the crib, holding the official Sophia. Flawless skin, perfect clothes, every detail styled for photographs. Jenny stepped into the room, holding the real baby in a worn blanket. The nanny froze. "How did you get in here?" Jenny didn't answer. She held up the pendant instead. "You're celebrating the wrong child." A moment later, Victoria Sterling walked in. She expected silence and control. Instead, she saw two babies and a girl who didn't belong in this house. Jenny spoke quietly but without fear. "Your daughter was left in the harbor." Those words did what no protest, no lawsuit, no headline could do in that moment. They broke the performance. The nanny's hands began to shake. Her eyes filled with tears. "I followed instructions," she whispered. "They told me there were Concerns. They said the company needed a healthy heir. They told me another baby would be brought in. I didn't know they would leave her to die. Police cars later pulled up to the estate. An ambulance arrived. Paramedics checked both infants. Officers took statements. The nanny was taken into custody. Her phone, emails, and messages became evidence. Lawyers representing Sterling Biotech mobilized quickly. They talked about miscommunication, a tragic misunderstanding, and the actions of one employee. But stories like this don't disappear just because someone has the budget to spin them. Hospital records showed that two baby girls had been born on the same night. Internal emails hinted at risk mitigation and protecting the company's future image. In court, prosecutors argued that the decision to replace the baby was driven by fear and money, not by medicine. Civil suits were filed on behalf of the child left in the harbor and on behalf of the girl who found her. The judge eventually confirmed the identity of the real Sophia Sterling. Legal custody was assigned to her biological mother. The company faced fines and investigations. Some executives quietly resigned. Statements were made. Donations were announced. But none of that changed the fact that, for hours on a cold night, one child's life had depended on the decision of a 12-year-old girl no one cared about. Jenny was never called a hero in official reports. The law doesn't use words like that. In the court transcripts, she was described simply as the individual who located the infant and initiated emergency care. Sometimes that's as close to justice as the system knows how to write.